jump to this one here from Jason Webster, who says, from Disney Wars versus Darth Iger's Last Stand. Well,
Oof.
I think I know what he's kind of referring to here.
Me
This is our
three.
final story of the day before we finish up. We have been predicting that this individual may be making a comeback.
Ba-da-da.
And here he is. But is he Palpatine or is he the hero? That's the question. Andre, take us through this quickly.
Well, basically, right now Disney is so full of villains, I can't see anyone else being anything but the hero at this point.
Wow.
I think that now we're at the level of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those that do not recall, Nelson Peltz, the activist investor, and just like a quick refresher here, activist investor does not mean that he is going to be waving.
He's more like an anti-activist investor.
It's not that he's going to be demanding people respect pronouns or walking around with rainbows or coloring what is left of his hair purple or something like that. No, activist investor in investment terms is a shareholder who is fed up with how the company is being run and wants to force his way onto the board in order to influence the direction of the company. That is what an activist investor is, and that is what Nelson Peltz is. He previously threatened to launch a proxy war, which is basically that he was going to reach out to all of Disney's shareholders and argue to them, which is true, how Disney's board right now is a bunch of incompetents who aren't qualified to be on the board, which is entirely accurate because none of them are, and how he would be a far better fit. So in the next shareholder meeting, he would urge the shareholders to vote out this one guy and then vote him in instead. And if he was successful in that, he would then have a seat on the board where he actually then could do some level of influence. He could certainly witness exactly what is happening at the board meetings and what is going on there and do honest reporting about that. And I think that is actually what had them far more freaked out than him actually being on the board. It was him witnessing what is going on, because when he even suggested, hey, just how about I not be on the board, but I just be allowed to be in the boardroom as you have meetings so I can see how you work and what you're discussing and stuff. Their answer to that was hell to the fuck no. And also when you see to one of the things that they have voted on in earlier shareholder meetings when it comes to transparency and stuff like that, then the board from Disney has always recommended that shareholders vote against transparency and voted against being informed of what's actually truthfully going on. Culture, I can see that you wanted to add something to that.
No, just that this would be if he pursues these seats and he's able to secure them, if he gets enough support from other concerned investors. I'll use concerned rather than activists. I strongly suspect that he could push for quite the proxy fight and win. He just has to overcome. He just has to overcome the institutionals, which he's now, according to VR's reporting this morning, in either 5th or 6th place in total singular ownership. That's pretty impressive.
Indeed. And yeah, so this is basically that, because what I said now, that was recapping the past. But in the end, he basically made Iger give some concessions to investor meetings ago. One of them being promising that they're going to give dividends. I think Iger's going to have to walk back on that. And then he was happy and he rolled back. But he did say, of course, the media, they celebrate, oh, Peltz is walking back. Victory, Iger. Iger didn't win shit. The only thing that Peltz did was, okay, you gave me what I wanted, so now I don't need this. So now I'm going to step back. But the moment I see it's needed, I'm back there again, baby. And here he is.
So, Andre, this is the same equivalent that we kind of saw with the latest writers contract with, the folks at AMPTP, where this is just kicking this can down the road again. I mean, that's what Iger really did. He didn't win. He just basically delayed the inevitable because he's still on the same path.
He basically gave Peltz everything he wanted there and then, And then Peltz said, okay, now that you've given me everything I want, I'll retreat for the moment. The moment that I'm no longer happy, this proxy fight is back on. And as we can see from the headline here, it's not just that the can was kicked down the road. It's worse than that, because the last time when he threatened a proxy fight, he was only looking for one seat for himself. As we can see from the headline here, he is now seeking board seats in plural, which suggests to me right away he wants to unseat multiple shareholders, which of course is justifiable because every last one of Disney's current board member, in my opinion, is either a complete and total incompetent, certainly where matters of entertainment are concerned. Yeah, I'm sure they're good at handling MasterCard and stuff like that, but where entertainment is concerned, they're worse than useless, or they are outright detrimental to the company, such as the shareholders who are the representatives of BlackRock. And yeah, what we're seeing right here is that it looks as though Nelson Peltz now wants more seats, which is needed. Like, one person isn't going to be enough. It's going to help. Certainly, if that one person can be something of a whistleblower, which is needed. But what you really need here is a complete change in the board, so that the board can fire Iger and hire someone who can actually bring the company into the future. And Iger, he has made some good moves as of late, but he's still the architect of the company's current destruction or current implosion. Can he, with his mindset, fix things completely? I'm not so sure. I think even he has to go. And I do believe that Peltz realizes this. What say you, Cultured?
I think your assessment's 100% accurate. I have to say that I've been rather dismayed that the promises that were made to Peltz and similar-minded investors back then haven't been dealt with. I can't imagine, and Andre, I would ask your professional financial opinion here. I can't imagine how they're going to go about handing out a dividend.
I don't see how that can be done. I think they're going to have to walk that back, which is bad, because then they're in a position where they are kind of like betraying their word to their owners. But at the same time, it is not in the responsibility of their owners to hand the dividend when the financial situation is such that they can't afford it. And of course, that brings about the next question. Why can't they afford it? Is it the parks? Are the parks underperforming? Then why the hell is Universal doing this well? Why are people flocking from Universal or from Disney to Universal? Why are all these other studios making more money on their movies? What's going on? Maybe someone needs to look into what's going on here. You see, it's bad for them no matter what they do.
Yeah, I predict that if they do pay the dividend, it isn't in the shareholders' best interest, which is going to take everybody off and can be easily cited. I think Peltz kind of played Iger on that front, and the current board. And I think at the same time, I think if they don't pay the dividend, as you mentioned, they've not followed through on their word, which also doesn't look good, and it will create all those questions. But ultimately, I think Peltz was very strategic in his asks, knowing full well that they could not be fulfilled. So, he just took the opportunity as the stock was dropping catastrophically, to acquire even more shares. And he may have been singularly responsible for the bounce back that we've seen in the last few days, because Disney's stock is headed in the wrong direction, despite the fact that there's been nothing but bad news.
I have to say, I do like the fact that he has been buying more shares. Again, we're not going to give investment advice or anything like that, but him buying more shares right now, that tells me that he feels the Disney share as it is right now is undervalued, which means that he thinks that Disney can bounce back. Maybe not to $200 per share. It can certainly bounce back to a level where he's going to be profitable on the shares he has bought right now. And then, of course, there's some gambling involved here, but he also probably feels that if he can get himself and maybe one or two others onto that board, they may be able to force Disney into a more beneficial direction. Certainly in an environment where we see some signs that they are changing course a little bit, not just not enough or fast enough to our liking. But some moves have already been made, so it's going to be easier to turn the ship now than it was, say, 1 year ago. After they fired, 12,000 people, I think it's going to be easier to manage the rest of the company. I think that Peltz was probably very strategic in what he asked for before, and he sees that right now, Iger is weaker than he has ever been. The board is weaker than they've ever been. The company is going to be easier to maneuver and shift in a new direction than it has been in the past decade. This is the perfect time to launch a proxy fight and for him to increase his stake in Disney. I'm all for what he's doing here.
Yeah, I like I said, I think if he gets on the phone and talks to maybe Thiel and a couple other well-moneyed individuals that are on the same page he is, I think they can make quite the charge here. And I think Peter Thiel's talked about that before. So
how amazing would they be if they were able to ditch Iger in front of the next earnings call? I mean, it would be it would be boring for us because we do want to see Iger try to wiggle out of that earnings call. No, actually, I think that Peltz, he's going to wait and see basically how that plays out. But he's going to have to do something quick before there's a hostile bid from Apple or something, because that's like the one threat and the risk looming in the horizon. Well, not for him, because Iger or the
so you think
Apple are going to have to give an overprice for the shares that he just bought. But we know that's what Iger wants. He wants to get Apple to come in and pick up everything.
So you think Apple is Iger's poison pill to stop this?
I don't know so much about poison pill. I don't think that's so much a threat that he can use or something. Because I don't think that's something that Apple is going to be like, yeah, let's do it. No, they're going to need a lot of convincing. But I do believe that Iger is probably fighting very hard to make that happen. Because if he's successful in that, then all of his mistakes, they just go away and they'll never be exposed. Because then it's on Apple. And Apple has a paycheck to basically, make everything right again. Certainly financially, not culturally, not entertainment-wise. But for the things that he is measured on as a CEO, it would be a feather in his cap. So I do believe that he is trying for that. And who knows? When the share price is sufficiently low, maybe then Apple is going to go, yeah, you know what? At this point, we also feel that Disney is undervalued. So why not? Of course, then you have all of the legal hurdles and everything that may get in the way there. But I hope that Peltz is going to act. He's going to act swiftly and decisively and actually get something done. And at this point, surely Disney shareholders, the most patient amount of people on the face of this earth, they surely have to start running out of patience and demand something be done with their investment. So they should be Team Peltz all the way.
Yeah.
Because Peltz is team shareholder, and Iger and BlackRock are not, lest that shareholder be BlackRock or Vanguard or State Street.
Yeah, those top three there are all stakeholder capital, not shareholder.
Exactly.
It's an interesting thing. It's how politics and money play out in a different way in business form. That's kind of what we're seeing. This is full contact business politics that's going to get played here. So pay attention, folks. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, Tom, any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No, you guys are the financial guys. So I agree pretty much with what you had assessed early on, and that is that just like all the business with he got what he wanted initially. That's what pacified him for the moment, but he's seeing a lot of the same things we're seeing. So yeah, I'm sure he's getting tired of losing money.
He sees even more than what we're seeing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and here right now the saving grace for Disney, the hope that we as fans all should latch on to, is Nelson Peltz. Not because he's on our side directly, not because he wants to make Star Wars and Marvel better and stuff. He just wants it to make money. He wants us all to spend more money on it and give into his pockets. But he's also smart enough to realize that for us to make money, we have to be happy, and we have to want to fork them over. And that means we have to actually want what Disney is selling. So what he wants to do is to make people want what Disney is selling, which just so happens to be Fix Disney.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.